You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
You don't know about the other side of the pyramid? The fifth side? It's called the floor, you dumbass. I just want to make sure he realizes there is a fifth side to the pyramid.
And once you open your fucking mind of undefeated goddamn fairness.
I know all of them, and I believe none of them, which makes me an expert. Hello, everyone. This is Chris with
Quinn.
For the Cryptic Conspiracy Cult, we got a good one for you. The JFK Conspiracy. Not that he's not real, but how he died.
He might have been a figment of everybody's imagination.
He ain't real, man. Them Kennedys ain't real.
They're not real
people. They're not
real.
sympathizers, and they ain't real.
Apparently they can't drive either.
I can't drive for shit. Can't fly for shit. Can't drive for shit.
And for some reason can't navigate their way out of a hotel kitchen.
One may have liked women a little too much, and they zonked her fucking brain out. That's just a rumor.
Yeah, right.
But we'll be talking about the assassination of JFK. On November 22nd, 1963, the murder Lee Harvey Oswald was murdered by Jack Ruby of a number of conspiracies. On this date, John F. Kennedy, his wife Jackie Onassis Kennedy, were riding with Governor Connally and his wife. 3 shots rang out within a series of 6 seconds, based on eyewitness testimony. Never reliable. And at that moment, John F. Kennedy was struck and was taken to Parkland Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on the scene. To this day, this conspiracy contains the mafia, the Vice President Lyndon Johnson, Fidel Castro, the KGB. Hell, even the investigation of the Warren Commission was involved. This has spawned a lot of music. I joked with a buddy of mine, if John F. Kennedy hadn't died, punk music wouldn't exist. Because you know how everything was spawned from the continuation of Vietnam with the Stooges, and a lot of things don't get created if Vietnam stops, because JFK had
Woodstock wouldn't even have been a thing if Vietnam stopped. Because
JFK wanted to pull out his phone. The one time he wanted to pull out, you know what I'm saying?
One time he didn't want to be involved in an extra affair.
Unlike his brother, who couldn't pull out for shit. Oh, Robert Kennedy had like 30 fucking kids.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Robert Kennedy had like a shit ton of kids.
I mean, I knew he fucked around as bad as JFK did, but damn.
Oh, they're sex acts. They're rampant sex acts.
Oh my God. Come to my house, the fish stop swimming.
Yeah, but like Robert Kennedy, it just fucking ate up with that shit. Loved fucking.
There's 2 things he was good at: government and fucking.
And taking a bullet to the stomach. What a man. But no, Robert Kennedy, man, had a shit ton of kids. And he only had one wife, so.
Where did all these kids come from?
He had 11 kids.
God damn, big
He was an Irish Catholic.
Yeah, I was about to say it's an Irish Catholic family.
Yeah. John was a little busy. John had to be president. Could be fucking around all the time like his brother.
I gotta go home now, Rob.
God damn it. These goddamn Texans are gonna kill me. Where were you? So going into this, the standard story that we're fed, the history of the JFK. Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in the Book Depository building. He fired off 3 shots at 250 feet at a moving target, and struck the president 3 times. Also striking the magic bullet of Governor Connally through his back to his wrist. Lee Harvey Oswald was captured not long after killing a police officer in a movie theater. And then he was killed a few days later by Jack Ruby in the weirdest fucking perp walk you've ever seen in your life.
Just shot like he was almost being presented like an open target, like an invitation, like go ahead, just take your best shot at this guy. Like they didn't even try to stop him originally. As soon as he pulled the gun, they waited a sec.
Now, some back history on Lee Harvey Oswald. He did have a troubled childhood. He was the one of many brothers to a single mother who was kind of batshit insane.
Yeah.
He ended up joining the Marines, believed in communism, or he said. Most likely he was just being a dick.
Defiant,
just a troll, kind of like we have nowadays. It's like, oh no, I'm a socialist, blah blah blah. It's like, shut the fuck
and
up.
I'm gonna go move to Cuba
and you're gonna join the
years.
fucking Marines in the fucking 50s. Yeah, fuck.
You think we can't tell?
Not long after joining the Marines, he was discharged. He ended up moving to Russia to try to become a citizen. He struggled in Russia. His Russian wasn't as good as he thought. The KGB cared nothing for him.
Not
surprised. Oddly. And dipped him, kicked him out of fucking Russia, basically. He came back to the United States with a wife in tow, baby, and then lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area up until November 22nd, 1963. During this time, he did take a pop shot at a politician, a right-winger, at his home. He missed, oddly enough. More of just bad luck. And one of the conspiracies is in the stupidest movie with Kevin Costner, JFK. As a historical standpoint, no, homosexuals did not kill JFK. But the movie is pretty good at depicting how stupid these motherfuckers are. Especially Kevin Costner's character, who is just a vehement racist.
Yeah.
In real life, that they kind of like don't show.
Hey, I just like Joe Pesci's character in that whole movie. He's got the
eyebrows.
You're drawn on eyebrows that are smudged.
He's got the fuzzy face. He looks like a troll doll.
I was like watching this, like, did he just get back from a drag race, or is it?
Yeah. Or that's another part of it. What the homosexuals had JFK killed. That was a whole nother conspiracy.
Wow.
But yeah, so one of the conspiracies that was brought up by in the JFK movie by the lead attorney was Lee Harvey Oswald was a poor shot. And it's like, no, he wasn't. He was a standard Marine rifleman. He knew how to fucking hit a target. He knew how to operate a firearm. That's the biggest fucking bullshit lie ever told of like the public platform of court, is that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't know how to shoot a gun. Bullshit. He did.
He knew how to shoot it, and we trained him to shoot it.
To quote R. Lee Ermey, he was a Marine.
Oh my god, yeah, him and Charles Starkweather. Charles
Whitman.
Charles Whitman, that's right.
Starkweather killed people with a fucking knife and
That's right. Yep.
That'll be a whole nother story. The conspiracy of Starkweather. Oh my god.
There's a conspiracy behind him?
Oh yeah, that he had a second and third accomplice. Both women.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I forgot about that.
They kind of like shoehorn that in the movie Frighteners with
yes, they do with
Michael J. Fox.
Because even Jake Busey's character mentions it because he killed two more people than Starkweather.
And he's like, fucking hell yeah, bitch. And Michael J. Fox is like, you're fucking insane, dude.
You're just realizing that now? It's Gary Busey's son.
Jake Busey, great actor. He was in the new Predator movie, not Prey, but the newer Predator movie. He played the son of his dad.
Of course he did.
Yeah. But yeah, leading up to this, what do you know much about what was leading up to this? Much from the time he was elected to the time he was killed?
Well, a lot of it stems from like the Bay of Pigs invasion. I know he had a really big hand in that, and after that blunder, he kind of realized that the domino effect that was being talked about but wasn't openly expressed, like Johnson had expressed when he got into the presidency. There was that issue of communism befalling the rest of the world because you had a Caribbean nation that completely fell to communism. In addition to that, behind the scenes, the mob was also aiding in his political rise to the seat of presidency along with his brother, and they weren't too keen on the fact that his brother was turning around and trying to break up organized crime in Chicago and New York and as well as Boston. So stemming from that, then you had the issues going on in Vietnam, which at this time we weren't really sending troops yet. We were more so sending advisors with occasional special forces guys here and there just to kind of train the ARVN unit, South Vietnamese army, to kind of fight the communists. We didn't want to get directly involved. And then once we started seeming like we needed to put more boots on the ground, that's when JFK was voicing his disdain, saying he wanted to pull guys out, didn't want to put any men into that situation because at this time it's only, not even 10 years since Korea?
Yeah.
Because, Korea ended in 1954, was it? It's 1954, 1955. But it was only like 9-10 years following that. So, I don't think a lot of people were really too coy about him going, yeah, we're not going to go there because we just had a war not even a decade ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, fuck that. We're not letting this happen.
So going into that, the communist part, a lot of trepidation from JFK was actually from the leader of Vietnam at the time. North Vietnam had already failed to communism. A lot of French assets were there. French soldiers were pulling out, going down south to Saigon. And what really ramps this up is the leader of South Vietnam had become an extremist.
Yeah.
But he was backed by the United States. Even JFK had said, look, this guy's really bad, not only for South Vietnam, but bad for us. He's backed by us, but it doesn't make us look good.
He was also a vehement war criminal. Him and his wife, they were basically organized crime figures. Like, that's really what it was. It was a kleptocracy in South Vietnam.
And he had started pushing not only a Christian ramification for South Vietnam, but also anti-Buddhist, which was a huge Buddhist community.
Yeah.
And he was assassinated.
No shit.
During the JFK administration. And they became a power vacuum, not only with the R-band units, but also who's leading the group, who's leading the fight, because there's still communists coming down the mountain.
Yeah.
And even around this time, you still had Cambodia, Laos, who are still fighting with not only the North Vietnamese, but also against the South Vietnamese as well. So you had like a three-pronged war at the border, but you also had a whole nation split in half. Now, the fall of Korea is the same kind of situation, North and South Korea. The only difference is in North Korea, their leader, Kim Il-sung, was treated like a god.
Yes.
So Ho Chi Minh, however, the leader of the North Vietnamese, was not. He was a man. They did not see him as a god, but they do see him as the General Grant, Robert E. Lee kind of. He
was kind of like a Lenin, a Vietnamese version of Lenin. He was for the working man, the peasant, the one that the lower class.
Which is very odd considering this is not a manufacturing country. This is basically a rice paddy.
It's all agrarian. It's an agrarian society.
It's all agriculture. There was no big sowing. It wasn't like Cuba or Haiti is now, where it's just like sowing shit up so fire as the eye can see, right to the beach. It's not like that. And it's kind of weird how you see what happens to some of these communist countries that ended up falling. China, after World War II, getting a big influence on the working man, but not only that, a interracial propaganda about the Russian version of Aryan and the supreme Chinese Superman. A lot of the old propaganda out of Korea and China was the Asian in hand with a large white blonde dude in overalls, and they're just like workers' rights, motherfucker.
And that always threw me off because I'm thinking about the Rousseau and Sino split in regards to the views of communism between Mao Zedong and Stalin at that time, because they saw things a lot different than one another,
and they saw a lot of things the same as well.
It was a very confusing time.
I'm not trying to brief history of fucking China, but their terrible agricultural practices.
Oh yeah.
We're so much better. It's just like this killed like 1,000 people in fucking Ukraine a day.
We got a few million that have to disagree. I mean, they would say something, but they're fucking dead.
Tiananmen Square never happened. But for JFK, the whole domino theory carries over from the latter end of the Truman administration all the way through the Eisenhower administration. Now, when it comes to study of history, I will say Eisenhower is my favorite president.
Really?
Yes. He's not big military spending. He actually warned against these things. He warned against the military-industrial complex, which ended up coming not only through the 60s with the Vietnam, but also rampant in fucking the 80s.
And he actually even said he was one of the first people to use that terminology, too, the military-industrial complex.
What's odd is this man was the 5-star general. There weren't many 5-star generals after World War II.
No.
So, do you know how you name generals?
How?
With stars. Be my little general of the army, and it's B, which is brigadier general, my major general, little lieutenant, of general, the 4-star general, and then you had the 5-star of the Army of the United Allied Forces.
Holy shit!
So that was like a thing I got taught by my dad when I was a kid.
That's really cool.
But be my little general. But they don't use the 5th one anymore because there are no more 5-star generals.
Yeah.
Because of NATO, Allied Forces, and like even the coalition of the Willing, man, back in 2003 didn't have a 5-star. All right. Remember that rainbow coalition of us and Canada and I think Sudan?
It was us, Canada, Sudan. I think there was like a Denmark, Poland.
Ethiopia threw us some cows and shit. Like,
it was a very confusing time.
You ever heard about the gifts after 9/11? You ever heard about those?
No.
Like there was some African countries who gifted us livestock after 9/11. Like as like a condolence, and they're just like, no, you can keep that.
We don't need 7 goats. What the fuck are we supposed to do with these 7 goats?
Hey man, you talking about one of the touchstones of history? Hey, America really needs us right now because we don't need them here right now.
I'm just picturing a phone call from some the president of Poland just going, "Hey, we're sending our thoughts and prayers," and then just hanging up. No more explanation.
Nah, that conversation for Poland is, you want us to invade Yugoslavia? We'll do it. We'll fucking do it. Hell yeah.
We're ready to go.
It's just like Al Qaeda's not there. We'll find Al Qaeda. It's just like in Yugoslavia.
Just pulling people out in the uniforms they probably put them in.
The war on terror. The war on terror is much like the war on communism. Nothing happened.
Pretty much, yeah. Thanks, McCarthy.
Yeah. But with JFK wanting to pull out, this adds to the conspiracy not only that the Joint Chiefs wanted him dead. That's tally 1. The Russians, fearing that American involvement not only in Cuba being so close to the United States and the Cuban Missile Crisis on top of the Bay of Pigs, part 2. That's a 2. Then you had the real threat, which was the Secret Service, who probably shot him. Like I will say that. Like we'll talk about it here in a little bit. But my theory that the Secret Service shot this dude in the back of the head, doing like 15 down the fucking grassy knoll.
This is why you don't put the first week. This is why you don't put the trainees on POTUS detail.
Oh my God.
This is what fucking happens.
God, I just wanted some more training at Amazon. I killed 15 people.
God damn it, Jeffrey! I'm sorry.
Sorry, his bear mace canisters are explosive. But going not only that, but like around the after 1962, you have a demographic split with the parties. You had the Dixiecrats who are going against the more Northern Democrats who are going for civil rights, who are aligning themselves with Martin Luther King. But your Democrat stronghold in South Carolina, Texas, and Florida, they're pushing away. All right, so they are actually going over to the Republican Party, and the GOP, which the original GOP, the party of Lincoln, was, federal law trumps state law every fucking time.
Yeah.
In fact, if the state even speaks up, the federal response should be harsh. So, like, if a state says, well, we're not going to do that, the fucking federal government's like, what the fuck did you say?
And then the National Guard gets called.
Yeah, it's like a pimp system. It's like, where's my bottom bitch? Virginia. Talk to West Virginia. But like you had the Republican Party doing a split as well, and then it wasn't until the 80s where the Republican Party like drew a line in the sand.
Yeah.
After conservatives had decided not to be laissez-faire when it came to voting, and some people kind of realize this, but a lot of people in the 50s. Going into some of the 60s, like Christian conservatives didn't vote. They saw it as a sin, actually.
Really?
Yes. So it's a weird concept that you think about it. But this is also a country that still had a large number of Episcopalians.
This is like pre-evangelicalism too.
Yeah, Presbyterians. The only evangelical preachers you saw were in the deep South or in the out west, like in Texas.
Right.
But the idea really kind of booting rallies were around the time of Jerry Falwell.
Gotcha.
And the Council of Baptist Preachers out of Virginia, not far from Liberty College, actually.
Oh shit!
Who decided to go into the political realm with Republicans of all people.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah. So this also created, the theory that Lyndon Johnson had something to do with it because he was a more conservative Democrat than he was a liberal Democrat. Now, his life did change after 1963. He ended up becoming the president who signed into the Civil Rights Act, who laid the groundwork for what would later come for Nixon with Title IX.
Operation Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to bring that one up too.
Oh no, his presidency is fought with tragedy. Like, he you can tell, like he even says, it's like, I will not be seeking a second term because this place sucks.
This is stupid and I hate it.
I hate it. Asked Robert Kennedy to get into his boat car. Have you heard that story?
Oh yeah, he didn't tell him it could float,
and he like, Robert Kennedy's like freaking out, and he's like, "You're the Navy, man."
Come on, your brother killed somebody like this. Why are you so scared? Wait, what? Nothing.
Ted. So he'd like some good chowder.
You Kennedys have the worst sense of humor. You guys can't laugh at yourselves, can you?
Yeah. Well, one used to laugh at herself, but we took care of that. Rosalind Kennedy used to laugh all the time. She don't laugh anymore now.
Now the only time she laughs is, well, she doesn't really laugh. She just kind of screeches and makes grunts.
And drools. That's a hell of a story.
That's
the Rosalind
fucked up story.
The Rosalind Kennedy.
Oh my God, lobotomies, dude. Fucking awful.
You get a lobotomy. You get a lobotomy.
Whole line. But
there's actually a conspiracy that Charles Manson is a failed lobotomy.
I could see it. I could see it.
Like he met Dr. Friedman as a child.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
But yeah, so like the Warren Commission, comes in afterward. This is the first time that in American history an assassination doesn't ricochet across the fucking nation when it's already at 50 states. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Beforehand, you had McKinley being shot by a fucking anarchist, and it was just like he basically took a pop shot in the stomach, and it took him days to die. Lincoln got shot in the back of the head. It took him about a day and a half to die.
Yeah, Garfield too got shot, I think, point blank range in the heart.
Yeah. So we've had presidents die before, but not at this scale where it's out in the open, to where we're using a new technology of filming a death of a president. It is fucking fantastical to think about, but can you imagine that happening today?
It would be
catastrophic.
It would be catastrophic all over the news. Every major news outlet, interruptions on television, children's shows. I mean, there would be news breaks across the country.
How long do you think they would show the snuff film?
It would probably be on a fucking endless loop. Let's be honest here. It would be like how 9/11 was, where it was like just constantly every day for like the next 6 months.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of desensitized to that already. So like, if somebody was to kill a president, I don't know who, but like if someone was to pop a shot at a president and succeed, holy fuck, the conspiracies would come out of the woodwork.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Let me go grab my tinfoil hat.
And my gun. I gotta go get eggs.
I gotta go get bread and milk.
Yep. This is like, oh man, who the fuck, like, we're a little bit more divisive now as a country, but back then, there's a lot of unity still.
Yeah.
Now, there was a civil war, or not civil war, but the civil rights problems that were going on, especially not in just the South, but in the North, with Malcolm X doing the same thing that Martin Luther King was pretty much doing in the South. Mm-hmm. Trying to say, I kind of respect a little bit Malcolm X more than I do Martin Luther King, just for the fact that he said, if someone comes at you, kick their ass.
Yeah, that was the thing. And even like before he was assassinated, he actually was turning a lot more peaceful too with it. But he put his foot down, was kind of like, no, if they're gonna give us shit, we're not gonna take any shit. That's one thing I always kind of respected about his teachings too, because nonviolence can only work so long until you have no choice and you have to. You got two
cheeks, man. You turn one, you're gonna hit the other. You don't have another cheek.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like I understood where he was coming from.
Even Jesus chose violence once.
Flipped the table, smacked a few people around, broke
Get the
a leg.
Fuck out of here! Hey, Paulie, Johnny, Luke, Maddie, get over here! Fuck this dude up!
Break his fucking legs.
Don't worry, I'll fix him. I'll fix him real good. Ping! That's his miracle. The miracle of extortion.
He changed wooden sticks into aluminum baseball bats.
Ting, ting. God damn, that's why the Romans killed him. He was a real Italian. Oh, that'd be the greatest conspiracy I ever saw, that Jesus was actually Italian. Oh my God, they would kill their own, these fucking animals.
And they didn't even crucify him, they just shot him in the back of the head while he was out on a fishing trip.
Hey, get the bread and the fish.
Get the bread, leave the fish.
This is such a sacrilegious fucking podcast. This isn't the first time we talked about Jesus.
But the fucked up thing, though, is also the mob kind of aided a lot in his election and swaying a lot of workers' votes, especially up north, and a lot of the unions as well, because the workers' parties really were kind of running the country then. A lot of the local Teamsters unions really had a lot of sway on Capitol Hill.
It was a lot of backlash from the McCarthy era witch hunts, where he kept saying stuff like unions are socialist communist propaganda. Walt Disney fought that shit back in the day. He fought unions. He thought they were a communist conspiracy. Then he had the writer's strike, and then he's like, "This is gonna fuck up Disney World." And it just
oh yeah, and it's like if you're running a major corporation like that, especially with a name like Disney, you're gonna try to get rid of unions any way you can because you know you're gonna be sued left and right.
And that's as a business owner, you hear those words, workers' rights, you're like, God damn it. Okay.
The beatings will continue until morale increases.
Until morale improves. We had that hanging up in the kitchen I worked in. Right up there with the work will set you free.
Oh my God.
Ding, ding, ding. Are those fries yet? Yes, my dear. 9. So, have you heard the George Bush conspiracy, the Bush family conspiracy on the death of JFK?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, so the Bush family, and this is just another conspiracy.
Of course.
Much like Ted Cruz being the Zodiac killer.
Now, we don't know yet.
I don't know, man. When I heard that, I laughed my ass off right up there with birds aren't real, and I was just laughing my ass off, and I'm just like, isn't he born in the 60s?
He would be like a fucking around,
like a baby assassin, unless he's a Time Lord or some shit.
He's better than Agent 47, man. That kid was efficient, quick, clean, in and out,
barcodes only. Is that bananas? Yep. Blip, blip. But yeah, so I totally believe. I get a lot of hate for this. For the conspiracy, but I believe the Secret Service killed him by accident. I did actually read Bill O'Reilly had put out a set of books, but one was killing Lincoln, one was killing Kennedy, and he kind of lays out the facts of Oswald shooting him, but it's written as he did it, so it's giving you background on not only Jack Ruby, it's giving you background on Lee Harvey Oswald. It's kind of a mishmash of personalities meeting one day.
It's like he kind of made a Quentin Tarantino film
but
out of it.
But not like in a flashy way, but it was
very factual.
Yeah, it was like here's what we know.
Yeah,
and he puts it together that way, and it does. You read it and you're thinking, yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald probably did shoot that motherfucker at least once.
Yeah. At least once.
At least once. He got off 3 rounds. With an old Italian bolt-action rifle, got off 3 hits with 250 feet to moving target. Dude, that is the funniest fucking line to me in that whole movie.
So fucked because it's like right after Kennedy died too. It's like 1968 is when that takes place. It's like 5 years later.
And you gotta think about the story of the 60s is nothing but assassination after assassination.
Dude, for real. Or near misses or close assassinations, because you had the governor of Alabama who stood in front of the university who got shot while he was running for president, while he was on a campaign trail. He got shot by a would-be assassin in the back.
By a white guy.
Yeah. Popped right out, went bam, bam, bam. Dude with sunglasses.
Wallace.
Yes.
Governor Wallace.
Yep, Governor Wallace.
My government was a Democrat. But, so you had Kennedy, Robert Kennedy in 68. Before Robert Kennedy's assassinated, Martin Luther King is shot.
Yep.
And
Malcolm X too.
Malcolm X was killed in 1968, 1969, I think. And you had a plethora of others before that. Medgar Evers gets shot in the late 50s.
Yeah.
You had, and I will say, it's a damn shame they all got killed in their prime. But they make fantastic movies. If you guys get a chance, watch Ghosts of Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
James Woods plays the most racist person I think I've ever seen in a television show or in a movie.
That was
He gets in Alec Baldwin's face in the bathroom of a courthouse and says, "So what if I did kill him? Ain't nothing you or the state of Mississippi could do about it." And I'm just like, God damn, you ballsy Klan prick. And it's James Woods. And it's just like, James Woods is a fucking prick.
Well, it's kind of like Mississippi. My dad actually met James Woods. That's a funny thing. He met him on a street corner in New York City, and he was a prick. That's the fucked up thing.
Yeah. Was he handing out fucking Republican pamphlets?
No, he was talking to himself, but he was going over his lines. He was doing a movie, and my dad was like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" Because he was just glancing over, and James Woods catches him looking over. My dad used to work construction, so I was in Manhattan. And he's like, "The fuck are you looking at?" It's like you're talking to yourself on a fucking street corner.
I'm looking at a crazed white guy on the street.
Yeah, that's how my dad was like.
Imagine post 9/11. So yeah, I think I might have a fucking problem.
Like, the fuck, I have a fucking problem. What's your fucking problem?
You fucking schizophrenic.
Fuck away from me.
I will say he did play Carl Panzram in a movie.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah. It was terrible.
I imagine so.
Because he doesn't look like Carl Panzram
At all.
Carl Panzram is like my height and built like a brick shit house
Yeah.
with a handlebar mustache. He kind of looks like Charlie Bronson, the prisoner, not Charles Bronson.
In some of his photos, he did. He really did.
But going back to JFK real quick, not James Woods, but other terrible acting. In the movie JFK, it's they try to prove that it was either a Russian conspiracy or the mafia, and those were the kind of only two paths they were going down. Now, the great thing about the JFK conspiracy, it's the mother of all conspiracies.
Of course,
it's the death of a president. 9/11, huge for our age, fucking fantastical, in a terrible way, but JFK touchstone in conspiracy history. And I think what's kind of crazy is, I think the most simplest answer is the right answer. It was just a fuck up all around, and you just left the door wide open.
And you kind of had to do the casino thing where you had to bump everybody off that had any involvement.
But it's just like, it reminds me of like why we have certain rules in place.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, who's bright? Like in hindsight, we start thinking about today, but who rides with the top down as president of the United States?
And not only that, in a completely open space where there's Secret Service wasn't even blocking the motorcade, really. They were walking alongside of it. Anybody who could shoot any rounds from any one of those buildings had a clear shot at the president that day.
And, there was threats beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
There was threats on the family afterward. And I think what makes it kind of crazy is this idealistic version of the White House that they have presented to the world. As the Kennedys. He's a very young man. He has children, but they're small children. The White House hasn't had small children in it for a very long time.
Very true.
Not since probably Lincoln's day.
Yeah.
And before Lincoln was Buchanan. Buchanan didn't have a wife.
No, Buchanan's wife died.
Yeah, but he was like balling bitches left and right. He said, let the Civil War come. I don't give a fuck.
That motherfucker was depressed as shit.
Yeah. He looks suave as fuck, though. I will say that.
Hey, depression does wonders, bro.
Yeah, depression does wonders. We know what we need. We needed a man with Van Buren chops in this country.
Yes, we do, God.
Powerful fucking chops, man. That's what this country needs right now. Just the next guy to run for president, just the fucking down to the fucking cheek. Fucking just,
mutton chops. Just
ready
to go.
Yeah, just like kicking ass. Hairy fucking knuckle.
Just chest hair. He takes his shirt off and it looks like he's wearing a wool sweater.
Yeah, got an American flag tattoo on the chest.
No, it's shaved into it.
Yeah. It's Tim Allen in his prime when he's playing that Amish dude.
Yes. Oh no.
For Richard Report, remember that?
Yes.
But yes, the kind of guy we did. The one who could eat a bullet.
Nice try.
And have you heard this isn't the first time we hear stories of presidents not just being assassinated, but attempts on a president.
Yeah.
Have you heard the guy who tried to kill Andrew Jackson?
And he beat the shit out of him with his cane?
Yeah.
And because he was just
had a sword cane.
Motherfucker.
Well, the guy was legitimately crazy. He thought he was the rightful king of England. And came out of the fucking bushes, pulled two fucking pistols, shot both of them at him, and they never fired. And Andrew Jackson, keep in mind, the Secret Service doesn't exist at this time, walked up to him on the White House lawn and started beating his ass.
And this is old Andrew Jackson, too, which makes it even funnier to me.
It's just like the harbinger of doom for Native Americans came at you at 40 paces and started beating your ass.
The thing was, too, he had a bullet in him already. He still had that bullet from the fucking duel.
And Andrew Jackson is a very unique character. He's very, very bad, but he's on the 20, so I'm like, yeah, you got me. Everyone's seen a Jackson or two.
Well, I think the fucked up thing is...
And he looks like a ghost.
For real, dude.
He looks like a demon ghost.
He reminds... he reminds me of?
Bram Stoker's Dracula?
No, not Bram Stoker's Dracula. The bad guy from the movie The Haunting with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Liam Neeson. The dude that ran the fucking sweatshops with the children.
Yeah.
So he looks like.
He's one of the 13 ghosts.
For real.
But no, and we hear about other assassination attempts throughout. Grant. Someone had attempted to assassinate Grant. With a bomb of all things, and it's just like it never went off. Other world leaders, same fucking thing. People tried to kill Adolf Hitler, failed
numerous times
because he's batshit insane.
Castro also.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like with JFK, I think it was, you know, there was a lot of sympathy not just for the Kennedys, but for the country as a whole, because it's like this is something not only that's being televised, that it comes at a very bad time.
It does, and in addition to that,
you're about 15 years from World War II.
Yeah,
they just you know kind of made a back alley deal to end Korea. Now Vietnam, and now it's the fear of communism. You got an older generation who lived through not only just the tail end of World War II, but Korea, who are now becoming a lot older, and it's just like, why aren't we fighting communism? God damn it!
Yeah,
and America had technically lost Korea. It's still going on technically, but
ceasefire.
But there was no loss up to this point for the United States, and with the debt, I think that kind of hits a little bit harder. On kind of like the zeitgeist of the country.
Very much so. It was the ageist spin in the 1960s, especially 163 rolled in, because not only did JFK die, you had Oswald getting killed. Jack Ruby died under mysterious circumstances too. You had witnesses to that were there near the motorcade turning up dead. You had stuff from the Zapruder film and also eyewitness films, which included the Babushka lady, who you never saw again.
And the man with the black umbrella.
Sam Giancana from the Chicago outfit turned up dead a few months later after the shot 3 times in the back of the head. They never figured out who killed him because it was they didn't rule it as a suicide, but it was unusual circumstances because somebody had entered his house and killed him without any probable cause. There was nobody kicked in, nothing. It was just in and out, done.
And someone who's kind of like very odd that's involved with this case, it was much later, had compiled all the information of who the assassins might have been, the organizations, the overall conspiracy of JFK. And that guy is LA District Attorney Vincent Bugliosi, also known as the writer of Helter Skelter.
Oh, fuck.
This guy.
Oh, no,
this guy who believed in satanic panic. And this is why I don't like the story of Helter Skelter now, because it kind of, like, when you read Helter Skelter, it's like, oh, yeah, Manson was the man, he had him kill all these people, and I'm just like, I don't think that's exactly what happened. I don't think he had this 5-foot mental midget actually had the ability to control people. I think Tex Watson showed up from fucking Houston and being the biggest swinging dick in fucking Spawn Ranch, and it's like, when they come here, find Charlie and him the fuck up, because I'm innocent, goddammit. I'm innocent, after he just ripped a woman in half. So I think Tex Watson was the one.
Because Tex Watson was a fucking force to be
reckoned with. We'll do a whole fucking episode on that.
Yeah.
Charles Manson, the Satanic Panic, but no, Vincent Bugliosi. I thought that was neat that he had come up with. He had compiled a total of 42 groups, 82 assassins, and 214 people had been accused at one time or another of various conspiracies involving the death of the president. And I don't know if you've ever read the story called, they made a movie out of it, it's called Parkland. It's the story of JFK being shot and brought to Parkland Hospital outside of Loving, Texas.
I've heard of it. I've seen the promo photos and posters for it, but I never actually sat down and watched it. So
it is a clusterfuck, what they show in the movie. It opens with the president being shot. Paul Giamatti plays Zapruder.
Oh, nice.
The man recording it, and he's just shaking the whole time after. He's like, and he's still like keeping pace with the car as the bullets are firing. And in the movie, they do hear 1, 2, 3 within 6 seconds, and so they keep that part out of it. They keep the conspiracy part out of it, but it's the story of them getting JFK to Parkland Hospital. And what's funny is, not really funny, more macabre, but they get him to the unit now because there's so much bullshit and red tape when it comes to the president of the United States, because technically we still don't know if a president is allowed to commit a crime. Think about that for a second. There's no thing in the Constitution or the books or the law about if it's okay for a president to commit a crime.
Yeah, because I mean, there
even though we've had presidents commit crimes.
Watergate's a great example of that. If we're keeping it within this era.
Yeah. So, but the idea of who who's in charge kind of falls through the cracks in the situation,
Yeah.
because Texas authorities had already, they get him to the hospital, they do their best, but there's no way to save him. Obviously, his head exploded, gone. And so the Surgeon General and the Texas Surgeon General have to do an autopsy. Well, they decide, the federal government steps in, a representative of the federal government, under the guise of the United States, but not the state of Texas, says, no, we'll just take him back to Washington, D.C. with no autopsy, which is highly irregular with any other killing, but it's the President of the United States, so you really don't know who has purview over the autopsy. One doctor was about to do it. He almost got tackled by fucking 6 Secret Service guys who brought him in because they're like, you're not fucking touching him. And he's just like, you don't understand, that's the law of Texas. He's like, fuck
get shot.
Yeah, but like the Secret Service in interviews said, fuck Texas.
Holy shit.
Fuck Texas. They talk about that in a lot of the serials of interviews with Secret Servicemen who were there. So they basically steal the body of the president.
Yeah.
From Texas. And they go to Air Force One. They rip out seats, chuck them out the door because they can't get the coffin in, because he's in a coffin. He's in a straight up coffin by that time.
Fucking
Not
Christ.
a body bag, nothing. He's in a coffin. They're ripping out seats. And this isn't a 747, man. This is an old, probably a DC-10.
God damn.
And so they're ripping out seats, chucking them out the window, chucking them out the door or whatever. And what's funny is, so Tom Willing's in it, the guy who played in Smallville.
Okay.
The guy who played Clark Kent.
Yeah.
He's one of the Secret Service guys, right? And one of his last words in the movie is like, what a shithole. Talking about Dallas-Fort Worth. And he's just like, what a fucking shithole.
Jesus.
Just dog in Texas. He said, I believe his exact words, what a shitty place to die.
Wow.
And what's funny is not only that, so they do a great scene of going down the corridor. He's like, yeah, take him to the OR over here on the left. All right, so they take him to the OR on the left. A few days later, Jack Ruby shoots Lee Harvey Oswald in the stomach. If you know anything about shooting people in the stomach, it takes a long way to die. It's hard to die from a stomach wound because it like Tim Roth from Reservoir Dogs.
It
takes
days.
forever.
It takes days.
You're gonna be okay. Say it. Everybody's gonna be okay. Can you imagine that? Just one of the marshals just like
holding Lee Harvey Oswald's hand.
Everybody thinks it's gonna be okay. He's like, I'm gonna let you die on the street, because the Texas Marshals were like, let's just kill this motherfucker. Let's let him die.
Yeah, let's just kill him.
But there's a scene where they're going down the corridor and they're about to put him in the same OR JFK had just died in, and they're like, nah, put him in the one across. And that's a true story. He died in the fucking OR across from where JFK was sound dead.
That is insane.
Well, it's a very it's a small town.
Well, yeah, at that time especially
Dallas,
too.
Dallas-Fort Worth now, but
massive
back then.
No, that is
still a small city.
That's very true. I just think it's insane though that you're taking the president who has just recently been killed outright in front of thousands of people, and then taking his assassin and putting them right across the hall from each other. That's just fucking asinine to me.
It's main hospital too.
Fuck.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's right there in town. It's all the places to go to. That's where you would take them.
It's right around the corner.
And,
fuck.
And what's crazy is, let's just talk about Oswald for a minute. His brother lived in Dallas at the time because he would visit his brother, and Oswald had a history of being abusive to his wife and everything. He'd beat her.
Yeah.
He spoke a little bit of Russian, but she would always, stick around. She didn't want to leave because basically she's a Russian woman in America in 1963. She has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
No one's going to give her asylum at this
no.
point. So at this point, after Lee Harvey Oswald is murdered, his body's released to the family. Now, this is where the mother comes in, because she says the same fucking shit that Lee Harvey Oswald's spitting is, he's a patsy, I did not kill the president, or as I heard an interpretation, I'm a patsy. I'm a goddamn patsy. And it's just like, shut the fuck up, you commie piece of shit. And I'm just like, oh God, we have to listen to this motherfucker. He's going to be the most famous person in the United States.
Nobody's going to remember the president
No, they're gonna be
without remembering Lee
they're gonna
Harvey
be-
Oswald.
They're gonna remember this 3-named asshole. Which is have you ever noticed that that's a kind of a weird thing in this country? About
John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald, and who was the guy that shot Martin Luther King?
Charles Lee. Not Charles Lee Ray. That's Chucky.
James Earl Ray.
James Earl Ray, who I will say, MLK's wife doesn't believe that.
No.
But if I could stand in a bathtub with a rifle, I think I could pick somebody off. You never know.
Well, I mean, Lee Harvey Oswald did it with a moving target in a book depository. So I mean,
what's crazy is just how small the world is. Not only was MLK on the balcony in Memphis, so was Jesse Jackson, and the lawyer for Muhammad Ali was there.
Yeah.
And it's a wild, like you think about how these big figures are near each other at any moment. We've talked about it before with Jim Jones, and hey, you think he might have met Ted Bundy on like a revival kind of session, and Ted Bundy
bumped into each other?
Or like there are a lot of ladies at these revivals and stuff. Is like think Ted Bundy was like trolling, like what's up, what's good,
crashing a Bible service. Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
considering the amount of brunettes that were probably there, wouldn't surprise
just
me.
Like take a bite out of that, like it's weird. Like you don't think about it, but some of these people are actually there's a chance that happenstance is kicking in somewhere.
Well, it's kind of like how a lot of these big names throughout American history in terms of politics and civil rights all turned up dead within months of one another, or even a year of one another, in a short amount of time. Not only that, like I said, organized crime figures that could have had an involvement in it were getting killed too. It was across the board. It seemed like anybody that knew even the slightest thing was turning up dead under a mysterious circumstance. Now, I don't know if that was just because, health issues, but some of this shit just didn't make any sense.
And another big figure that kind of got involved in this was J. Edgar Hoover. He had commented that the Dallas police couldn't have enough evidence to even charge Oswald with the murder of the president. So when the FBI got involved, and this is before the Purview Act of the United States government, where the FBI was allowed to step into investigations willy-nilly, which doesn't happen until like the late 70s. Another part of this was the CIA was probably involved. The CIA getting involved in a lot of tropical countries in South America and Central America, which we talked about briefly on the cocaine and crack epidemic.
Yeah, of course.
But also in Southeast Asia and the follies of that. And I always think about that in the back of my mind, some dude in a fucking white shirt and khaki pants with fucking sunglasses and a Uzi. I'd be like, who's that? That's the government. Like that's their liaison. Some fucking white dude in fucking Iran with a fucking
smoking a cigarette and everything too. Cigarette in his mouth, just puffing on it while he's walking down the street.
But like you see those old photos of Iraq and Israel and shit, and you just like there's a white guy with aviators with a shirt. Like a big deep cut in his fucking shirt with a fucking Mac 10, and it's just like, who's that? Oh, that's Roger. He works for the CIA.
He's one of the special agents assigned to this region.
Does he have a badge? That gun is his badge.
Why don't you go ask him if he's got a badge? See how far it gets you.
Yeah, while he's waterboarding your family.
Where do you live?
Asking you why you caused the Chicago fire of 1892. I wasn't there. Say you were there. This could all be quick.
Come on, I know you don't like this. I don't like doing this either. I mean, it's not hurting me, but...
So, let me ask you, how do you think, or who do you think killed JFK?
I honestly like to think that... See, I like your concept where it was a Secret Service guy on his first day. I like to take that kind of wacky notion.
People hate when I say that too.
But it's like it's so funny
because it's like I talked about the 9/11 episode is just like incompetence knows no bounds.
It's a terrible pilot.
Well, no, not just terrible pilot, but it's like terrible TSA workers, terrible government, terrible government involvement,
being naive,
being stupid, and being lax on some shit.
Well, it's kind of like the 3 Mile Island thing that happened because of negligence. There was that
didn't happen.
Oh yeah, of course, that never happened.
Jimmy Carter came down from a helo and fixed that shit with his piss.
I got it.
It's a great peanut field now. He builds houses there now.
You look at any image on Google Earth and it's
Jimmy Carter just giving the 2 thumbs up
in the shape of a peanut, like he's the planter's man, but it's Jimmy Carter's face.
I have a wild conspiracy about Jimmy Carter. I'll tell you later.
But I feel like the JFK thing could have been like I like to blend this where it was like in a wacky sense. I like to think Lee Harvey Oswald was up there getting ready to shoot. He probably fired one round, but then somebody on either the grassy knoll or that fencing unit put the last two into the president.
Yeah.
Just because of the way he's hit, it's the side of his head that explodes, and there's not an exit wound out the front.
Yeah. Oh, that's the greatest conspiracy of all is ballistics.
Oh yeah.
And as someone who's shot guns enough times, ballistics don't fucking matter, dude.
No, they really don't.
And it's like splatter science kind of, when they investigate people who like.
And especially the force of the bullet too. It depends on it depends on where it's going and what part of the body it's hitting to get that explosion, to get that exit wound. Because it could have hit the side behind his ear and blown out that part of his head.
But yeah, so like, I want the Secret Service one to be true, just because of how fucking stupid it is. And based on what's going on with the Secret Service now, those fuckers can't be trusted with anything.
No, after that whole thing that happened in
January 6th, that
was all the Washington PD that had to fucking do everything with that.
And not only that, the guy who kind of walked up on the White House during the Obama years, he's like, who's that? I don't know. What?
He doesn't have a gun. What do we need to work? What do you?
He had a weapon though. He had a fucking weapon though.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He had a handgun.
Yeah, it's just like the Secret Service aren't very good at their jobs.
And there was that other dude that came up to the White House recently that got gunned down, like at the front fucking gate. Like it's like, dude, where do your priorities lie? Were you just taking a siesta that day that the dude got that far? Like, oh fuck, hold on a minute.
I got him. My bad.
My bad. I dozed off.
I'm not saying like make them like STARS agents, so like from like Resident Evil or anything. Where you just have some asshole with a cowboy hat on the top of the White House with a rifle. Woo! Get some. You guys should write an article about me sometime.
At least accept some accountability. Say you fucked up, or at least do your job. Mm-hmm. Like in this case,
well, they all can't be the bodyguard for Lincoln. You know what I'm saying?
What I missed?
Oh shit! I'm gonna go take a nightcap.
I'm gonna go grab some popcorn and meet you guys across the street.
Meanwhile, he's just mumbling, that skinny fuck. What a piece of shit.
Oh man.
Well, so going into what I think happened, I totally believe. About said Robert E. Lee, but Lee Harvey Oswald was in the Book Depository building. I believe he got off 3 shots. I believe he made contact with 2 of those shots. However, I do think during the 6-second span, a Secret Serviceman leapt up from his vehicle on the passenger side, pulled out his service rifle, which was an M16, which used a 5.56 NATO round. The driver, during the commotion after the 3rd shot is made, hits the gas, causing the driver to kind of panic. He hits the gas, causing the passenger Secret Serviceman to fire off 1 round directly at the back of the head of the president, back and to the left, because the exit is larger than the entrance. So the concussive force of a peach blowing out of your face is back into the left. And now, on a comedic standpoint, I love that Jackie Onassis is like trying to get the fuck out the car, because she's like, I'm tired of these Irish pricks and their terrible fucking lives and fucking my life up. Because you see her just leaping across the trunk, and that Secret Serviceman is like, no, bitch, get back in there.
And what I've always said though too is like, people would always come up and be like, oh no, she's trying to like save him, she's trying to push him down. I'm like, no, she's not. She's trying to get out of the fucking car. She's saying, fuck this shit, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think about like what happened to Jackie.
Can you imagine, like, I just like when I think about that kind of, I think about like Franz Ferdinand and his wife being murdered.
Dude, and that was the same thing.
I'm just like, can you imagine just Franz Ferdinand just like watching his wife get shot and jumping out of the car after that dude? Imagine the world history of Franz Ferdinand beating a Serbian teenager to death with his own gun.
Well, the fucked up thing is, it's like with that assassination, he literally saw a grenade bounce off his fucking car and blow up the entire car behind him, and he said, nah, fuck it, we're gonna keep going, it's cool, it's fine.
They remember Sturner stuff in 1910.
Your death was coming. You were lucky to hit 30 by that time.
Oh my gosh.
It was handlebar mustaches and coos.
Our fucking great grandparents. Man, 35. Who would have thought I'd be this old? You would have split a plum. I've never had a plum before.
Ends up getting dysentery and dies from shitting his brains out.
Goddamn Plum. Got me, son of a bitch. But what were you? I'm sorry. What? Before I cut you off, my fake history.
You're fine, dude.
My fake history of Franz Ferdinand beating the shit out of
I got two things. Like with the conspiracy angle, kind of going from outside of the realms of comedy here. Like just in case the CIA and all, like the big umbrella conspiracy. I think of how Jackie Onassis fled the United States and married a Greek billionaire and got her Greek citizenship and no longer stay in the U.S. because of fear for her life. Like they even had interviews with her where she was petrified to go back. And I always wondered why she was scared, but I feel like I would know the reason why. It's kind of like she might have known a little bit too much. But on top of that too, kind of the other side of the spectrum is going into like the new guy shooting JFK by mistake, and I'm just picturing an exchange similar to Jules and fucking Vincent, like when Marvin gets shot in Pulp Fiction. Oh shit, I just shot Kennedy in the face. What do you mean you just shot Kennedy in the face? I turned around, man. This shit's bumpy. You hit the fucking gas.
I killed Marvin, man. I killed the voice of Samurai Jack. I killed Phil Lamar.
Not only that, if you ever played Metal Gear Solid, he's also the voice of Vamp.
Yeah.
That was my favorite thing of finding out. But just picturing that whole thing and like, oh, fuck, man, I don't know nobody in Fort Worth. I don't even think Marcellus knows anybody in Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's like... What's actually not really documented very well is the after they load him on the plane, his body.
Did they drop him?
No. After they basically said, "What a shit place to get killed," she doesn't really have time to change clothes.
Oh yeah,
she's standing beside a towering LBJ, being inaugurated as president of the United States because the other president was decapitated by a bullet. Like, so like in the history of that, there's not much that was said on that plane. But can you imagine the Ari Aster movie being written like that? Like, everybody cool? Yeah, we're cool.
So, president got shot.
Yeah, God, we're all gonna get fired. Yeah.
Way to go, Rook.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you, Derek.
Yeah, fuck you, man. Fuck you. Have another drink, you old piece of shit. And this is like LBJ's getting shut the fuck up, pulls a gun out of his boot. Shut the fuck up. Jackie's just dead in the fucking world.
Not even phased by the fact there's another gun getting pulled out. And I feel like LBJ was like a 357 type of man, but with an unreasonably long barrel.
Nah, that motherfucker kept that thing on him. He had a stub nose. He had a pig sticker.
He had the Dirty Harry.
Yeah, that's another thing you don't really hear about. Do presidents carry weapons?
No, you never.
In like a tight situation, just in case, things go nasty.
You would think a president would have a handgun.
I think Nixon had one when he went to China.
I feel like he had two.
Yeah, I think Nixon didn't fuck around.
I feel like he had one in the waist and one in the shoe, like just in case. He had the snub nose down here, and then he had the 1911 up.
Just sweating like James Gandolfini in a fucking commissar fucking talk. He just signed the fucking agreement for the EPA and the fucking Title IX for women, and he's just like, God damn it, I'm fucking. What am I? What am I? Creating the DEA and shit.
McNamara has to massage his shoulders, calm him down.
Yeah, Gerald Ford is like, what's going on? I fall on a chair, you piece of shit.
Mr. President, I'm sorry.
He's just smoking. He's just chain smoking and taking bennies the whole time.
I need to come down.
I need to come down. Goddamn checkers. But it's like, it seems like, it'd be advantageous to give the president of the United States a handgun or something.
I mean, even in a situation like that, though, too, where it's like a round goes...
Eisenhower could hold his own.
Oh, definitely.
Probably kept a fucking thing on him and just like...
I feel like he just kept a gun around him, like, just because of being around
I killed
Patton.
the Rosenbergs, I'll kill you, too.
I feel like he just kept a gun around just in case Patton got a little too fucking keen on just popping off a few rounds. Like, am I going to have to cap this motherfucker?
I'm getting real tired of your Nazi sympathies, you piece of shit.
And I'm getting real tired of you yelling at me. You better fucking tone it down. What are you going to do about it? You don't want
this pistol whip the fuck out of Patton. What a piece of shit. If you ever get a chance to watch Band of Brothers, that makes you hate Patton even more.
Oh, dude, yeah, for real.
Easy Company didn't need that motherfucker.
Well, the fucked up thing is, I know we've segued kind of away from the topic, but since we just mentioned Patton, also committed one of the biggest war crimes of Allied history in Italy during Operation Husky. Before they landed, he told his troops, we're not going to take any prisoners. If they surrender, fuck them. Just kill them outright. And they took his orders to heart. One of the divisions ended up...
And you wondered why a guy got PTSD?
Oh, yeah. They made these dudes dig their own... like the movie The Irishman, where he's having the guys dig their graves. Same fucking thing happened. Shot at least 25 different dudes. Guys tried to run. There was over 30 of them. And about 10 of them ran off, gunned them down, killed the rest of them, shot them while they were already dead, and then kicked them into the graves. Guys did no time. Guys who did it did no time, got no demotion, nothing. It was just... Don't do it again. Or don't get caught.
Yeah, well, when you win the whole thing, you win the whole thing.
Hey, winners write history, man.
That's the goddamn part. The winner is written by the lion, not the zebra.
Is that a Lyndon Johnson quote?
No, that's actually from a show called Into the fucking Hell on Wheels. And it was a brutal fucking opener, too, because that's how the show, like, the first episode ended, was just Cole Meany smoking a stogie, fucking drinking whiskey, realizing he's an Indian countryman, like, yeah, the lions write the history to make the zebra feel comfortable right before we kill him. And I'm just like, God damn.
Hey.
What an allegory for history.
For real, though.
It's fantastic.
I just think it's fucked up, though. I didn't realize... You just made like a memory come back. I didn't even realize watching the footage now of seeing Jackie Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson when he's getting sworn in. She is still wearing the same fucking clothes.
Yeah.
Like blood stains and fucking all.
Like viscera. There's brain chunks on her.
Like that's the most fucked up thing ever. Is that you didn't even give her the first lady, the former first lady, now the ability to go and change her clothes, or at least fucking go to a psychiatrist, or stay at home and process that her husband just had.
No, she had to bury her husband a few days later.
Get over it.
And I will say, horse-drawn chariot, really, to bury the president of the United States.
He wasn't Amish. He was from Massachusetts, but they don't really. They
don't have the Irish wedding like that. They don't have an Irish funeral like that. It's more of kick him down, drop a pack of thing of potatoes down there, and be all right.
We buried him in the potato field where he wanted to be.
And going into some of the aftermath was Lee Harvey Oswald, how he was buried. You know the story about how he was buried?
No.
So get this. So they turned the body over to the family. No one shows up for his funeral. No one. 5 media guys show up to speak to the brother, the mother, and the wife. The wife is distraught, not that he's dead, but that she's alone now. The brother takes her in. Okay? His brother and 5 media members are the pallbearers because they just happen to be there.
Oh my God.
And they throw his ass into the fucking grave.
Oh my God.
Bury him deep and forget about him.
Wow.
The story of Lee Harvey Oswald. He's buried in a pauper's grave. So we're like a Johnny
Not even fucking...
Like, it's got a headstone, but that came later on. People kept destroying it.
we got to mark this, but we got to make sure nobody...
What do you want to put on a burning cross? To make sure he went to hell.
A sniper reticle.
Yeah, sniper's reticle. All the conspiracies come out there, try to dig him up. He ain't really in there, and they find a dead body.
Oh God, it stinks. What the fuck do you expect?
Well, they didn't bomb the son of a bitch. He had a giant hole in his stomach.
Oh my God.
All the blood just came out.
Jesus Christ.
But that's like the history of Lee Harvey Oswald is just brutal.
They didn't even, so they really didn't embalm him or any of that. They just kind of fucking, they did the Emmett Till thing and just threw him in a fucking...
It was fucked up because
who didn't deserve that either. Emmett Till is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But
there's a movie coming out about that because the lady lied.
Oh yeah, I mean that was obvious. that young boy did not deserve that.
even the truth she told, even the lie she told, got him killed. Even that was like bullshit.
Yeah, but he didn't deserve to get killed for that.
No one does. But God damn,
dude, like, fuck, I get it.
Can you imagine like a Family Guy rules? Well, I love the Family Guy. I love the cutaway from Family Guy. Or he's smoking a cigarette. Oh, Mr. President, he's waving at him for the book sponsor. Oh my God, there's a guy with a gun
on the grassy knoll. Somebody's trying to kill
Oswald. Get ready to be the greatest American hero. And it's just like he takes aim and it's like that's the story of Oswald. He tried to shoot the guy in the grassy knoll.
Damn it! Damn it!
I love that they got Gary Oldman to play him.
Are you shitting me?
In JFK.
Shit, that's right. I forgot about that.
Gary Oldman, probably the greatest actor of all time. When you die, you wake up and you realize scene, and you are Gary Oldman. That's the greatest heaven you could think of.
I mean, the diversity of his roles, going from Sid Vicious to fucking Lee Harvey Oswald to
a Jamaican drug dealer
to a DEA agent that's a drug addict.
Yeah.
And Leon the Professional to fucking Sergeant Reznov.
Yeah. Or Gordon. Commissioner Gordon.
Another great role. Like he
Yeah.
just was. I totally forgot he was Lee Harvey Oswald in that.
Yeah, because he had such a great accent. I'm a patsy. I'm a goddamn patsy. And I'm just like, shut the fuck. You basically said I'm a woman out loud. And just like, I'm a patsy. I'm patsy.
Did he say he's a pansy? I think that's what
I think he said he was a fag. Like, just, they started whooping his ass. Well, like, he kept saying that a lot. He demanded, political asylum, all this, and they're just like, shut the fuck up. That's how they treated him. They told him to shut the fuck up because he killed a cop. Everybody forgets that part.
Yeah.
They said he had killed a police officer, and that already was a fuck up moment.
Oh yeah.
Another part of the story is he was under the radar of the FBI in Dallas earlier, like 2 or 3 months earlier.
No shit.
And it's rumored that the guy didn't take him serious because why would you? It's Lee Harvey Oswald, and it's heavily rumored, and a lot of people said, a lot of testimony or affidavits later was, yeah, the FBI in Dallas burned all that information in the bathroom the day of, because they said, hey, we caught the guy Lee Harvey Oswald, and the guy's like, oh shit, I talked to that guy like 2 months ago, and like, oh shit, if this guy came through the FBI like feed and was passed through, the FBI's gonna look like shit letting this killer get away, like not be able to stop it, like
Fucking
letting the threat
Christ.
get through. So it's like TSA, what happened to the TSA guys on 9/11? They all probably got fired.
Oh yeah, and I'm just picturing after he's done burning, like the agent had to burn all the shit, and the guy coming in, hey, just to let you know, you don't have to get rid of that stuff. Secret Service fucked up worse than you could have.
Well, the truth, like all the people are dead now, but every fucking one of them are dead now.
See, that's what fucks with me is that they all kind of turned up dead, not immediately after, but about 6 months to anywhere from 6 months to about 4 years after they
Joe
started.
Pesci had them all killed.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know who had a part in it? Henry Hill. Henry Hill was a part of the whole goddamn thing when he was a kid. He was a teenager. He got involved with the bad people. Paul Sorvino told him to take his ass down to Texas for a drive. He was in the fucking grassy knoll. Henry Hill, that fucking stool pigeon.
All I think about, though, is that fucking scene in The Irishman with Jimmy Hoffa and where
Everybody's lowering their flags. Half staff. He's like,
what
don't
the
you
fuck
fucking do it. What are you doing?
Put it back up there.
And it was just like, you
Petty,
fucking bug.
you petty son of a bitch.
You guinea bug.
You're a fucking asshole.
Asshole.
Like, that's what got me, was just the fact that he hated him and his brother so fucking much. He was just like, nah, fuck that asshole. He tried to put me in prison. He did put me in prison. Put that shit back up.
Oh, yeah, that's such a fucked up scene. Just Al Pacino, man. Fuck him.
And everybody's like all uncomfortable. Even the dude's raising the flag, and he thanks them too. And they're like, yeah, no problem.
They're washing their hands. And it's like, I don't think I want to be a part of this anymore.
Even no matter how many times I wash my hands, I still can't seem to wash the guilt off.
I'm like Jackie on the airplane bathroom. Just won't come off.
Jackie, you have to take your gloves off first.
No. Oh my god, can you imagine the PTSD that woman fucking had after the fucking JFK assassination?
Well, like, even hearing her in interviews following that years and years, like about 10 years later when they're talking, well, I forgot who it was, they sampled it actually in a Lana Del Rey song, strangely enough. It's fucking weird. Dude, she sounds lifeless. Like, she sounds like there's nothing in her. Soulless almost. Like, very monotone.
She's an O'Hara, so yeah.
I mean...
Soulless Irish. The Catholics are right half the time, Quinn. Like, the other half of their molested people.
Hey, listen. If you don't choose the robes, you're choosing the bottle. Okay?
Yeah, you choose the bottle.
You choose the bottle in a lifetime of adultery. That's why I fell out of Catholicism.
Ireland was Atlantis until they invented whiskey. It's all went to shit.
I'll tell you one thing though. We made the best pipe bombs. You can put that shit in an exhaust pipe and still take care of business.
Valentine's Day.
But I will say another thing. When it comes to bands, it's hit or miss. It's very hit or miss. Yeah. You have Thin Lizzy, but then you got U2. It's
goddamn unforgivable.
It's a catch-22 in terms of bands. You got like 4 good ones, and you have to have one really shitty one.
And, going into like the idea of like speculative history. Let's say JFK wasn't assassinated. Let's say Lee Harvey Oswald never had the chance to get the rifle. Let's say he was arrested when he came home from Russia. He got the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
And they throw him into a fucking river. The way the Eisenhowers would have done it.
Just shoot him and dump him in the Rio Grande.
Yeah, they're going to find this fucking piece of shit. But the course of the nation, on speculative issue, like the invention, like let's say he wins the 1964 election, goes into 64 to 68. During that time, he's pulled out of Vietnam already. He's done negotiations. He's updrafted negotiations with the Chinese at that time, kind of preambling the fucking Chinese negotiations Nixon would eventually have. The Civil Rights Act would still get passed. The space race probably would have been done instead of 1969, maybe 1965.
Probably.
A jump start. A little bit different. There wasn't so much of a weight on the Civil Rights Act.
I also think about the commission that was investigating him and his brothers, though. Like, what would have came of that? Would have been like something.
They would have hired Lee Harvey Oswald to kill him.
Anyway, it would have been. Except it would have been more of a close range thing.
It's close range. Jack Ruby was in the wings. I would just love a fan fiction of Jack Ruby, Lee Harvey Oswald correcting time. Or they're time travelers correcting things until they have like a discrepancy. They're just like, well, I think he should die. Well, we can't let him die, and they just have this argument.
all I imagine, and I don't think you ever play, because I talked to you about
Danny
this video
DeVito is Jack Ruby.
It has to be Danny DeVito and Christopher Walken. It has to be the dudes from the Batman movies where they're Penguin.
Yeah. They're just fucking bullshit about you. No, you don't understand. He's got to die. And it's just like, nah, motherfucker, you do that, I'll shoot you in the stomach. I don't give a shit.
Damn it, I've cleared my name once. I'm not doing it again.
Lee Harvey Oswald and Jack Ruby, Time Travelers. Brought to you by Chris Morrison.
I just think about, like, it would come full circle, like the fucking Soul Reaver games, where it's like, it turns out that in order to fix the entirety of the world, one of them has to be sacrificed because one refused to sacrifice themselves. That's kind of the basic concept.
My dad had just finished the 11/22/63 book by Stephen King.
Nice.
Where it's about time traveling and just trying to. The guy keeps time traveling, but he keeps getting his ass kicked. Trying to save JFK.
That's right.
I'm not going to spoil the book, but like it just happens a lot in that book.
He doesn't even, like, nobody shoots or stabs him. They just beat the shit out of him. The entire book is just like a masochist, like, wet dream.
Yeah, it's like Quantum Lead on HBO.
Yeah, for real. Just endless, staircases. It's like the old school beatdowns.
Where will Scott Bakula land next? Anywhere where that's an ass whooping. Just a beating.
I always like to think that Patrick Stewart would beat the shit out of him every once in a while.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart sort of. God, bow.
Forget your lines again. I'll slap you even fucking harder. Don't even look at me.
Yeah, God, that would be a fucking story, wouldn't it? If Patrick Stewart was involved. I was in Star Trek in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, fuck.
He's just waiting in his dressing room.
Yeah.
Hello, Scott.
Just doing a shit ton of blow.
So like McKellen's doing blow off his head.
Kind of like the conspiracy of the Kennedys, just to add on, just compound on it. You have the death of Marilyn Monroe.
Yep.
You have the later deaths of Robert Kennedy, who was running for president. During one of his speeches, he was told mid-speech that Martin Luther King had killed in Memphis. And he says that out to the crowd. And it's a very kind of a visceral fucking video because he's like, I'm ready to inform you that Martin Luther King was shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee. And the whole crowd's just fucking losing it. They're like, God damn, I'm crying and shit. And not much later, he's killed in a fucking hotel kitchen
by a
Sirhan.
Was he Syrian, Lebanese, or was he Jordanian?
I think he was Jordanian. But
that's what I think.
One of the favorite quotes from Sirhan was, "If Robert Kennedy was alive, he'd forgive me." It's just like, wow, you dumbass. Maybe you shouldn't have shot him.
He wasn't that bad of a guy. He was all right.
And then not long after that, Ted Kennedy kills a girl.
And at this time, is their sister lobotomized?
So I believe, that happens during the time of Robert Kennedy, I believe.
That's what I thought.
Because Joe Kennedy, the father, had got a lot of backlash from the family. Like, how could you do that to your own child? It actually happened during the time of JFK, because that kind of boasted JFK's idea of mental health care in the country. And I will say, healthcare in this country was a lot different. In this, I remember when Obama was running for his second term and healthcare came on the books and they were talking about death panels and everything. And as someone who did dialysis for 6.5 years, I delved into the history of dialysis. There was literally a death panel in the 60s for people on dialysis because a hospital would only have one machine. And so they would kind of like roll craps like who had the ability to use a dial.
They just wheel out a chalkboard and start taking fucking bets and who's gonna croak.
Yeah, and there's a very
first.
visceral like black and white video about this. Like it's kind of like a cancer panel, you know. It's just like, hey, or like a transplant panel. It's like, hey, we gonna save this dude today or just let him die? I don't know, man. This
Oh
one
my
guy,
God.
this 30-year-old guy with a family of 2 versus this 2-year-old boy. Yeah, that's actually a death panel back in the day.
Jesus Christ, I didn't realize
And
that.
like, because of what happened to Rose Kennedy, you had a big push for sanitariums, asylums, stuff like that. And that's actually like in the history of America.
Oh yeah.
Why you don't see a lot of people with Down syndrome in the 60s and the 50s.
They're all locked up.
They're all locked the fuck up. No, where Geraldo Rivera comes along, exposes all that shit with like the Cropsey people.
You want to get like, we could actually do a podcast on a place called, since we're on this topic, is a place called Elon, which
the Elaine School
up in Maine. I was watching the whole documentary on.
We beat your kids until they're happy.
You saw the same documentary then, where they're doing that. That also the eastern state had gotten converted into a mental asylum at that time, because this was in the late 70s, early 80s.
A local hospital up north where I'm from, in Statesville, North Carolina, just turned one of their hospitals into a sanitarium.
Fucking Christ!
There's 2 hospitals in the whole county. One is now a sanitarium.
But Elon would be a fun thing to kind of go into.
But like, do you think, like, what is the craziest one you think who would be involved, other than homosexuals?
I think like the whole concept of them saying that it was the mob, the Secret Service, and the CIA all kind of in cahoots with one another.
Cahooting.
Basically cahooting behind the scenes. Personally, just watching the evidence, my theory is probably going to sound crackpot and, fucking
It's your
aluminum.
conspiracy, man. It all sounds nuts.
I like to think that it was those 3, but the KGB was watching.
Okay.
I feel like the KGB, probably an agent may have approached somebody in the CIA, somebody higher up, maybe a phone call on a secured line, etc. Some way of getting out of the public eye and away from prying eyes was like, hey, we heard about what you're planning on doing. We want to make sure it follows through, because Vietnam was going to be profitable for both sides when you think about it. You're arms stealing. Yeah, it's a proxy war, except America put troops on the ground. However, Russia did put troops there too, the Spetsnaz.
You ever seen a real Chinese AK from Vietnam?
I have not, actually.
I got to hold one time. A buddy of mine, his brother died in Vietnam, but he brought it back before he died. And it's got the Communist star on the stock. And I'm just like, oh, this is a fucking North Vietnamese rifle. Like, this is a fucking...
This has definitely killed a few people.
Yeah, this is got commie blood all over it. I remember the joke I overheard. He's like, hey, man, we got some R-band rifles for sale. Never been shot, only dropped once.
See,
God damn it.
Like, and kind of going into it, because if you look at a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that was happening at that time, you had disillusion in terms of people within the Warren Commission. You had people in the CIA and the Secret Service kind of getting pissed off at him as well, not getting involved in combating communism following the failure of the Bay of Pigs. And also, since the Cuban Missile Crisis was fresh in everybody's heads, it was also one of those things where it's like, we can't have a president that's weak-minded. It's kind of the same thing. When I think of like the organized crime figures that were involved too, them helping out his brother and helping get Kennedy elected too, from either strong arming, political, like fake ballots, swinging Teamsters for campaign funding, because they had the pension fund from the Teamsters because of Jimmy Hoffa to take money out. It was like a fucking hundreds of millions of dollars at the mob's disposal.
Yeah, like a piggy bank.
And essentially,
like Tony Soprano is to Janice.
Basically the same kind of concept,
A fat fucking piggy bank.
And it was kind of a you scratch my back, I scratch yours, because Joe Kennedy had involvements and ties with organized crime back when he was a bootlegger.
But he also had ties to the Nazi Party as well.
Yes, he did.
When he was ambassador to Britain.
And that actually pissed off Meyer Lansky. That was one thing that actually set Meyer Lansky off, was that sort of thing.
What do you know, Meyer? You fucking boss. Rigged the World Series, you un-American fuck.
Fucked up because I have the same birthday as Shoeless Joe.
Oh, no?
Yeah.
Well, go find a cornfield somewhere.
Yeah, right? I'll call Kevin Costner.
And Ray Liotta.
But the fucked up thing is, I honestly think that all three were involved and the KGB was supervising to make sure it went through. Because it really seemed like a hit. It seemed like an organized hit, like what organized crime would do. You would have 15, 20 people on a street corner. When they killed Paul Castellano, when John Gotti was taking over, they had like 30 guys on the fucking street watching the one spot.
Yeah.
I mean, even in this situation, you would have different cars. I mean, you're protecting a world leader. So you would probably have crash cars, stuff like that, some way to divert witnesses' attention. Because if nobody's dispersing out, like we see in the Zapruder film, there has to be something to make people fucking move so they're not paying attention.
Yeah. I just think, like, as always, there's just a practical answer.
Of course.
Where, yeah, he probably did get off fucking 3 shots.
I believe it. I believe that too.
And, you know, I bet because the bullet didn't fucking explode, it probably bounced in his fucking brain somewhere.
Well, that's what happens with a 22 round. That's usually
what
what
it bounces
happens.
a little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm. But, like, you know, he's shooting an old Carcano Italian rifle.
Yeah, that was way out of date too.
And it's like, well, you know, you get what you get. It was 1963, man. You can buy a gun from a book.
Just open it up and it's there.
That was back when books mattered.
Yeah, for real. And newspapers.
Yeah, it's like, even Walter Cronkite's like taking his glasses off, like, Jesus Christ.
Why is it so small?
Did you ever watch Andy Griffith?
Yeah,
okay.
Of course.
Do you know what Andy Griffith said when that happened?
What?
Goddamn Southerners. That's what he said after JFK was killed. Because he's a staunch Democrat. He's like, those goddamn Southerners killed him.
Goddamn Hicks.
Goddamn Hicks.
And their fucking rifles and shit.
I got a friend who vehemently believes that Johnson caused that shit.
I could see that too.
Yeah, just been like, nah, hey, Fitz. That's what he called JFK. Hey, Fitz, drop the top down, wind in your hair. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I give him a weird New York accent. Come on.
It's the same concept. Yeah, drop the top down, wind in your hair. It's beautiful today, isn't it?
Show everybody that gorgeous piece of ass.
Look at that.
You're married to. Not the one you've been fucking.
I'm sorry, Jackie. I know that hits a little too close to home, but I'm a jokester.
Not the one we killed, but the one you've been fucking.
I mean, what?
Oh man, the story of this Lyndon Johnson is like his stupid fucking things, like whipping his dick out, peeing on people. Like,
why should we go to Vietnam? Because Bongo says so. Oh
no!
He forced like senators to go. Like what bothers me is like after Kennedy died, like let's be honest. He was having extramarital affairs. It was obvious. He was doing a lot of fucked up shit to his wife. He was doing a lot of good, though, for the country, too. Now, Johnson, on the other hand...
Story of Bill Clinton.
He, like I said last time we got together, JFK walked so Bill Clinton could run.
Yeah.
And fucking, once Johnson came into office, it was just a decade of weird. It was just not a decade, but it was 4 years of just strangeness.
Yeah.
I mean, driving people into the water with a fucking car that could float, having his dick out, making people follow him into the bathroom to continue a conversation while maintaining eye contact, mind you.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, I don't understand
He
how
had big dick energy.
Yeah, for real.
what the kids call it, big dick energy. If he was alive today, he'd be the politician. You know what I'm saying? He'd be like, "Who's that big Texan?" And it's just like, you know exactly who that is. Shut the fuck up.
That's Big Dick Lynn.
Yeah, he'd probably run Hollywood. Like,
his last name's not Johnson, just because that's his last name.
Have you ever heard of the correlation between big dicks and cult leaders? We'll get along with that a little bit later on, but there's like a correlation of people with big dicks and people becoming cult leaders.
Is this kind of similar to how George Carlin's theory on how every war is fought over big dicks because everything's kind of shaped like a dick?
Yeah. Yeah. George Carlin's also theory of everyone's got an Uncle David with the winning lotto ticket. But yeah, man, like going into like the whole history of the JFK assassination, you're talking about. If time travel existed, that's the turning point, you know?
That really is the flashpoint in American history where everything really changed, because at that time, that's when you had a lot more government involvement and a little bit of everything in daily life.
Yeah, but even like in like security standards, like as much as we talk about JFK, FDR was targeted 1,000,000 times, and he always drove with a fucking top down.
No fucks given. Hey, polio's gonna kill me, so what do I care?
Yeah, bring that bullet, motherfucker. I'll eat that son of a bitch.
I welcome it.
I'll eat it, chug chew it into a nail, and use it to build the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Hold him down. Let me run over his legs with my wheelchair.
Bernard, get my crutches.
This son of a bitch is gonna get it.
And plus, he fucked his cousin. So there's that.
Crazy bastard, unhinged.
Oh, goddamn Roosevelt's, man. Actually, I have a problem with that. I don't believe, like, once you've had a family member or a direct family member in office as the president, you shouldn't be allowed to run for president.
No, I think that's kind of
like the Bushes, the Kennedys, the Clintons, the Adams.
You kind of get that nepotism thing. You get the nepotism concept. I mean, they were cousins, but still, it's
it's weird.
Really weird.
It's weird. Especially two mentalities altogether.
But really, kind of going into what you were saying, you're not entirely wrong, because you really had a lot more of security standards completely changed at that time. I mean, you already had the Secret Service, but it became a lot more rigid.
But not only that, another president was almost shot and killed not long later when Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Someone tried to kill Ronald Reagan. Yeah. Someone threw a shoe at George Bush.
Hey, he dodged that shit really nice, though.
He was, because he was a cheerleader. But, like, he moves. He moves. But, like, he's quick on his feet.
Very quick on his feet.
He probably had a quick bump, a nice Miller Genuine Draft and some chicken wings.
Have a joint, kind of mellow it all out.
Yeah. Just George Bush, not George W. Bush. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just it bothers me that we look at it in hindsight always. When we see terrible things happen, oh my God, how could they let two planes hit fucking skyscrapers? How could they let a president ride with the top down in a state he's not genuinely liked in? Why would you let him go to the theater? Like, yeah, a lot of things add up. Who let the anarchist in the building? Like,
yeah, for real.
Oh my God, what a crapshoot this whole fucking thing is. And it's just like, in hindsight, you're like, God damn, these guys were idiots. But back in the day, they're just like, hey man, at least he didn't die watching a play.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And like, I feel like that was something that was ingrained in a lot of the American public, though, too, where it's like, hey, at least I'm not that guy. But it was like, you gradually got something worse than what that guy got. Mm-hmm. That guy kind of got an easy way out when you think about it. Yeah. Because at that time, after JFK got killed, that's when we had stuff like COINTELPRO coming into full swing. You had the Klan was fucking going nuts about that time too, shortly thereafter, because they didn't really have a president that was heavy into civil rights. I mean, Johnson was, but Johnson was kind of doing that as a convenience thing, because JFK already started. He just wanted to get it out of the way. He wanted votes, as his quote says. You had Vietnam going into full swing, which completely changed warfare and American involvement in foreign countries and foreign conflict. That was one of America's first, proxy wars that turned into what became Iraq and Afghanistan for us in the modern day.
I think, as just a touchstone, it is the greatest conspiracy in American history, at least.
I agree.
In world history, there's a lot more.
Definitely.
But, you have so many players on the board. Like, if it was a game of Monopoly, we're playing with the full set. Playing with 8 people. But, like, KGB, Cuba, China, the Klan, the mafia, his own vice president, his Congress, the Joint Chiefs. You got so many people that could be targets. And we don't think about it right now, but let's say, in happenstance, a president gets killed tomorrow. Who would you blame first? Based on what we know, like, do we blame a radical Republican? Do we blame a extremist conservative nationalist? Do we blame
like a liberal with communist ties?
Yeah, who believes that the president isn't left enough? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's is it Gen Z? Is it millennial? Is it fucking a boomer that pops them all?
Yeah, for real. Because it really puts everything into perspective. Where do we go from here?
And you don't think about it until it happens. It's like, same with the 9/11 when we talked about it. The TSA, they weren't thinking about that shit. The last hijacking was in fucking Africa, in Uganda, of all places, and the Jews of Israel took care of that shit real quick.
Very fucking quick.
You know what I'm saying?
No survivors.
It's like okay, they solved that. It's just like, but anyone just crashing. And causing this mass confusion, not only of suspects, you have to rely on the Texas police, marshals, and then you have to rely on the Secret Service to kind of rally to find out, where the bullet come from? Is there any witnesses? And the story of Zapruder himself is terrible. They drag his ass in. They dragged his ass in and held his film and watched it, like put it back, put it on and watched it. And two Secret Service guys are in there watching it, trying to see if they could see the shooter in the film, and they're just like, God damn. And Zapruder like had to get a lawyer and everything to get everything back because it's evidence. But he wasn't, like, they held him and detained him like he was being charged with it, but it was because he had evidence.
And see, that's you're treating him like he was an accomplice to the crime. It's not that you're treating him
That would be the conspiracy.
Yeah.
Zapruder was asked to film it to give to the Russians.
Because that would be fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Thinking about that,
But
that would be
time traveling Danny DeVito was stopped him. Time traveling Jack Ruby just marched across time.
I dropped my monster
I
condom
gave Nero
for my Magnum
DMT.
dong.
I gave Nero DMT and he burnt Rome to the ground. Oh my god! There's a story of Danny DeVito time traveling like a fucking Doctor Who.
Listen, you got to stop giving political leaders and various historical figures drugs. All right, it's fucking everything up.
It's fucking everything.
You gave Joseph Stalin crack cocaine, and he ripped the feathers off of a chicken to show Churchill like in a power move.
Yeah, and Churchill's just smoking a cigar. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
And now
bro?
he's got a drinking problem because of it.
But just to end off the episode, since we were talking about Russians, have you heard what happened in Russia recently?
Well, I've been hearing that Ukraine has been pushing back against Russia, but I heard about the Russian oligarch that just died.
Yeah, he had some choice words to say about the Ukraine war, and he fell out of a window.
Oh, did he now?
Yeah, there's a word for that called defenestration. We talked about that once. What that word really means. It means one thing, but the second meaning is throwing a motherfucker out of a window.
Yeah, that's what you get for telling people about the LSD test,
That's some fucking Longshank shit from Braveheart. Like, fuck. It's just,
why don't you advise me on this situation?
Just chuck him out of a window. And I was talking to somebody about that. I was just like, yeah, he fell. Like, he straight up fell. And they're like, and he's like, how'd he fall? Like, he fell.
He just
like just deadpan that shit. He fell, just like that guy that Dick Cheney shot. He fell. he fell onto the bullet.
You have anything else you want to say? No, Mr. Vice President.
No, Mr. Vice President. That's Mr. President to you.
Wait, what? Okay, Mr. President.
Well, that concludes our dumbass episode about JFK.
I mean, it could have went all different directions, but it's big.
Oh, yeah, this could have been a four-parter.
Yeah,
but we all know the truth. The Secret Service killed him.
Way to go, Jeff.
Way to go, Jeff. And his secret M16 that's never been found.
Give me that. You'll get it back when you deserve to get it back.
Join us next time when we're talking about a time-traveling Danny DeVito who kills Abraham.
And Christopher Walken.
Who killed Abraham Lincoln.
By mistake.
By mistake.